Hello UI developers, it's Gabor from LVGL and I have a big update for you. We have just released LVGL Pro version 2, which is a huge update. It contains a lot of cool stuff like AI integration, new Figma interface. It's completely revamped to work on a VSCode-like framework called Theia, but I will show it in a minute. And it also has a new licensing model containing a free community license and evaluation license as well. Let's see the details. What you see here is the launcher screen of LVGL Pro. Now we have a Learn by Examples button. Let's create an example project first. I will create it on my desktop. So now I have a project with 135 screens, but before jumping into that, I like to show you what is new in this editor, even at first look. So as you can see, the structure of this is very similar to VS Code. We have this panel on the right, we have these icons, and the whole file navigator is very familiar. We have this bottom panel. Even the shortcuts are working, like Ctrl P will open a file, like this one. We even have Ctrl Shift P, where I can change, for example, the color profile. This is the dark mode, but I prefer the light. Of course, it's much more than just having the same user experience and key bindings. You also got the amazing VS Code-like extensions like the search, the Git integration, the debug panel. These are LVGL Pro specific ones, I will show them later. And you also have the extensions in which you can install VSIX files as well. But you can also use this open source library collection. So I already opened an XML file that I can show you, which, as the name implies, shows you how to use the bar widget and set a range for the value. So what we have here is we have a color constant. If I change it to something, the UI will be updated accordingly. So this color is also used for the numbers. I have a view with a flex layout with column directions to place these bars below each other. And I have two LVGL bar widgets: width, height, mean value, max value, and the actual value. And on them, I have a label. Below that, I have another bar to actually demonstrate the range, and the same width and height. But here the minimum value is -20, maximum value is 80, and the current value is 35. So these are like trivial examples to show you the properties of each LVGL widget. I can show you a few more real quick. You can use this handy project overview to see all your screens that you have. This example will show you how to create a styled harf. This is how you can create styles for the background, for the indicator, for the knob. The same way, if you update something here, the preview updates immediately. And here we have the harf created and all the styles assigned. If you want to learn LVGL Pro and its XML language, then I recommend opening up these examples and spending some time to learn the basic concept. Besides hosting these examples here, if you go to the documentation of LVGL and go to all widgets, let's say to harf, and scroll down a little bit, you will find the same examples that we have in LVGL Pro as well. I will find the styling one. Yeah, here it is. It's also interactive. Here you can find the same XML code with the styles, creating the arc and assigning the styles. And you will also see the equivalent C code. So you can learn C and XML at the same time and see how it behaves in this preview. You can also create a tutorial project. Also creating it on my desktop. If you go to screens, probably it's the best to start with the hello world. This is just a button with the hello world text, minimal styling, just to show you the very basics. You can check out the styling example Actually, it's a little bit more than an example because it's really more like a tutorial showing you more complex things than just a few lines of XML. But still pretty simple and digestible. You can also check how to create layouts. These checkboxes are created with flex layout. I created them in a column component, and this component automatically arranges the widgets in a column. So we have examples for animations, assets, data bindings, creating new component, new widget, new screens, styles, testing, translations, but I will show them later in this video. The other great thing right on the launcher screen is this bottom part. We call it the ecosystem support section. So first you can create a UI-only project where the UI that you create is perfectly platform independent, not integrated into any wrapper projects. However, to make your life easier, you can also create a VS Code template project, a Zephyr project, or a Linux project. I'd like to show you the Zephyr project in this video. So here you will see a little bit of description about how to get started with Zephyr, what to install, how to compile. So just collected all the information that you need in a very simple and condensed way. On the right hand side, you can create a new project and adjust its settings. We already added a few development boards that are supported in Zephyr. There are many more. We will update this list in the future. But let's use this default one for now. Here I will select a basic template so that we will have a few components to get started with. And the location will be my desktop again. Let's create the project. So here you can see that by default with this template I already got a lot of useful things like headings, column, row layout, panel, list related things, arc, bar, slider. So I have a lot of things to get started with. Let's see this screen, how it looks like. So this is the resolution of the development board that I have selected, so it's automatically picked up. And I can just see a few components that I get out of the box. It also supports dark theme. But more about this later. Now let's see the Zephyr integration. So now I have only the XML files, but if I click this button, two things will happen. It will export code and also recompile the exported code along with my custom C code. So all the C code that I have will work in this preview too. In the earlier versions of the editor, you needed to install Podman and WSL, and it was a little bit of an extra hassle. Right now it's much simpler. If you click this button and the required tools are not installed yet, it will prompt you to do that and will do everything for you. These are installed for me already, so it will just export code and recompile it for me. And it's done. It's also much faster than it was. Okay, let's see the Zephyr project. I have it on my desktop here. And let's see, this readme is the same thing that we have seen in the ecosystem selector. I also open a new terminal. And let's follow the instructions. I already followed the Zephyr Getting Started guide and installed the required things. I also have libsdl2 dev installed so that I can compile it for my desktop machine. So all I need is West init, nice West update. It will take a while, so I fast forward while it's downloading a lot of repositories and Zephyr related things. And it's done after 2-3 minutes. Now I can compile it for my notebook. And compiled. So what does it say? Call LV screen load in main.c to load a screen of a UI. Alright. So in the source folder, I have main.c. I just open it in my text editor for now. And this is the label that we have seen, call LV screen load and so on. We don't need it anymore. Instead, we will load component screen. Let's compile again. One pointer up. And here we go. The structure of the project is very simple. As you have seen in the source folder, you have only a single main.c file where you can just call a UI init function and load the screen that you want to get started with. Other than that, just follow the README and compile the project. If you want to compile it for the selected development board, just use this command as listed in the README, and after that, west flush and west debug. Exporting code, compiling it, and running it in a little window is nice, but you can do it in a much simpler way. Just go back to the editor, press F5, and now it's compiled and being debugged right inside LVGL Pro. It's a living UI that you can play with. You can also try the dark mode, but what is even better is you can debug it. Let's open the main.c file that we have already seen. I'm adding a breakpoint here in the main loop, and now it's stopped there. If I step a little bit, I will also see this idle milliseconds variable, which is 0 right now, and see all the variables that I want here. So by using this built-in debugger, just by pressing a single button, you can debug the exported C code without leaving the editor. Let's continue with how you can use AI inside LVGL Pro. Let's create a new terminal window. So just like in VS Code, here I also got a built-in terminal. I can start Claude, and it will ask me if I want to use an MCP server. We already have this .mcp.json file, which makes Claude to connect to this LVGL MCP server. So I will accept. And now I can use Claude to do things by knowing that it will have all the knowledge about LVGL Open and LVGL's XML format. Let's say I want to create a new card-like component. So I will write create a new card component with a title, subtitle, and switch. Usually it knows when to use the LVGL's MCP server, but I will give it a hint just to make sure. Let's see. Nice, learning the project, checks the files, the structures, what kind of variables and constants and other stuff we already have. So it asks if we allow it to use the MCP server. Of course we do. I have everything I need. Perfect. I love to see these responses. And finally it wants to create a new XML file. In the components layout card/cards.xml. Sounds good, let's create it. It also wants to insert it on the screen so that we can check it out. Awesome. And it's ready. Let's see, where is it? Here we have our little card. Dark scene, switch between light and dark. Wow, it's working. Okay, where is it in the XML? Here we have the card with 100%, title dark theme, subtitle, and the subject which is connected to the switch. That's great. Let's see the implementation. By pressing Ctrl and clicking on component, it will jump into the file. By default it looks a little bit plain because the default size is too small. Let's adjust it a little bit. Sometimes AI requires a little bit of human care. Let's say the default width is 100% for the card, which should make sense. This version of the editor got another powerful feature, which is expressions in the property values. I can show it right here. Expressions are written in these curly brackets, and what we have is hidden is not subtitle. So it means when the subtitle is empty or null, so falsy, then the subtitle should be hidden. This is a very basic expression, it can do much more, I will show it in a minute. If I change the default text of the subtitle to ABC, now it's visible. As I remove it and it becomes empty, it will be hidden. But you can do much more. For example, you can add a new API property. Let's call it large. It needs a type, which is bool. Default value is false. And now, if it's large, then I will change something like the width of this switch. If it's large, then make it 100 pixel wide, otherwise just 60. Let's see how it works. Now I change the default value here to true, and it got larger. You can use it in many ways, like you can also change some colors. If it's large, use red color, otherwise keep it white. Nothing happened. What can be the problem? Oh, this container is probably transparent by default. Like this. So now it has this red highlight when it's large. Probably it would make a lot more sense to make the whole card this color. And since it's not transparent by default, it's not needed either. Let's go back to the component screen and check out our beautiful red card. I move it to the top a little bit to make it easier to see. So here I can overwrite the large property to false, and now it's false. It's important that these properties are not reactive yet. It will be the next update. Now they are evaluated only once when you create the components. This red color is not so pleasant, so let's try something else. Like this. Okay, it looks much better. I'd like to show you another interesting thing that you can do with the components. And this is called slots. For this, I will destructure this component a little bit. I will create a row component here, wrap everything I have to a row. I will make it 100% wide. I will make the main container to a column and create another row here. So in this row, I can create things like a button, another button, so it's like a footer for this card. But maybe I want to customize this footer part externally, and this is for what we can use the slots. I just need to give it a name, let's say footer, and I also need to expose it here in the API section, like a slot, name, footer. So let's see what happens. So here, when I use these cards, now I can create card footer, where I can add any custom stuff, like a button, as I have shown. Or I can add even a bar. Now let's see how the design mode changed. You can switch to design mode here. And now you have a more visual way to edit the UI. If I select my card, I can see the footer, and in the footer I can see the drop-down. If I select the drop-down, I can edit the options, I can select which option should be selected by default. So I have some properties that the developer of the component exposed to me. It's important that I can see everything, because if I'm using the design mode, I'm not interested in all the 1,000 properties that I can set in LVGL. It's better to have just a limited set of properties that are really intentionally available for someone who is putting together UIs in this simplified, non-technical oriented view of the editor. So here, if I select this background rectangle, this is the content area. Double click this plus button, and now I can spy my card component. Now it's added to the button, but I can bring it up here. So we have it with the default large true, so we have this purple color. Let's change it to small so that we have this more standard white card. I can set a subtitle. You can also change this color, which will be the color of this switch indicator. Now you can also add events. This is the new thing here. You can change from calling a callback, loading a screen, creating a screen, play an animation, do something with subject, so handle some data mining related things. We will add some more events later. Now let's talk about the responsiveness support. I don't mean just layouts that automatically size things. I mean managing multiple products with different resolution or even completely different architecture in a single LVGL Pro project. By completely different, I mean you can have an MCU project with a smaller screen, and you can have an MPU project with a larger screen and with some 3D, all handled inside the same UI project. Of course, it makes sense if the UIs are mostly similar, have a similar concept, similar menu structure. Maybe a few things are hidden on a variant or visible on another one. Or maybe some components have a different view. Let's see how to do that. Let's go to projects.xml. Now we have a single target by default, but I will change it to small 320 by 240. I will create a new target, which will be large, and it will be 800 by 480. So just looking into that, let's see what changed so far. If we go back to the screen, now we have our small screen where we have some scrolling things already because it's pushed a little bit. And here we can change to the larger screen. So we didn't do anything special so far, but already you can review your designs in both resolutions. Let's go back to our card component and do something interesting here. I want to have this view if the selected target is small. And I copy paste this. Because I want a similar view if the target is large. But let's change a few things. On large, I want to have a larger title. This one, wow, it's not visible. What happened? We need to tell the preview which target to use. So let's scroll up, and now the light preview is selected. Let's copy it. Let's call it light large. Let's make it really larger, like 400. And tell it to use the large target. Okay, and now it's really better. Now we have more bold text. Also for the subtitle, a simple text is not enough because it's large. So let's go for an H5 here. Also make the switch a little bit larger. It's a little bit too much. Now it's really large. At least we will see the difference clearly. Okay, let's go back to the screen. Now we have the large target selected. As you can see, these switches are much larger than these were. If I switch back to small, the other view will be selected. Now the switches have the same size again. The great thing is when you export code and check how it looks in the car's generated code, these views are protected by an if check. So if you set UI target small as a define, then this part will be active. If you set this one large as active target, then this code will be active. And this is how you can have even things that are not supported on one target but supported on the other. Like here you can have a widget which shows 3D stuff. Just maybe this part won't be active if you compile it for an MCU. But in the editor, you can check and manage all the things at the same time. If you go to globals.xml, here we also have a lot of constants, for example. We have these smaller spaces, this radius, this border width. Now all these are used for the whole project. However, I can do the same with constants. I can use an if target here as well, and I can have a different set of constants if the target changes. Next feature that I like to show you is our new Figma plugin. It's really a huge update compared to what we had so far. It's like a one-click magic to bring the Figma project into LVGL Pro. Let's create a UI project. It will be a generic one, not related to any ecosystems, so you can embed it yourself anywhere you want. I will set the resolution to this. Create an empty project. Do it on my desktop. So now we have a completely empty project that we will fill with content in a few seconds. First, we should start the service that connects to Figma. Just click here and start the service. Now it's running. And now let's go to Figma. We have created a little example project. It looks like this. We can do many interesting things with this, but let's start with something simple. Let's click here, select LVGL Flow for Figma. It's here for me because I already used it, but you can just type it in the search bar and you will find it too. So it started. It shows that it's connected to our local service. Now I can select some screens that I want to export, let's say all of them, and click Export Selected Screens. It will take a few seconds. Now we can go back to LVGL Pro and see the result. So this is what we got. A lot of XML code and the screen which looks very similar to what we have seen in Figma. We also got some new components. The Figma project uses a base library actually. You can see it here. So these are the basic elements from which it builds up the screens. Here you can see some components that it created on its own. So it found, for example, this list item. So just created a component for that because it detected that it's reused many times. This is another screen. Also looks pretty nice. These widgets are also working, so it's not like just two rectangles, but these are converted to actual LVGL widgets. If we go back to the Figma plugin, we can do a few more interesting things here. For example, if I select this bar and go annotate, it already knows that it's an LVGL bar, but I can give it some hints like maybe it's a slider, maybe it's a switch. So I can tell what kind of LVGL component it is. Usually it guesses it correctly by default, but you can overwrite it. You can also do some data bindings here. For example, now it's bound to the battery percentage subjects, which will be visible in LVGL Pro as well. If I select this label, let's say this one, this is also connected to the same subject, and it has a format of %d, meaning it will be formatted as a simple number. Let's see how it's shown here. Here we have this little bar, and here we have our subjects. Now if I change this value, these two things are connected. So it means even a designer can easily set up these data connections based on the specification. The developer can fine-tune it in Figma, also fine-tune it in the editor, and these connections can be built up pretty easily. From Figma we got not only the layouts and widgets and data bindings, but we also got the navigations. So if you click here, here, and here, the related screens are loaded automatically. Now we have a moderately complex UI loaded. Let's see what kind of assets we have in it. Open the globals.xml file. We have a lot of colors. We have a lot of images. We have some fonts. And only 2 subjects right now, and some common styles too. On the right hand side, you can see a table that shows all the assets and the estimated memory sizes of them. We have all the images and fonts listed here. This altogether is taking 3.1 megabytes, but these are not assigned to any memory regions. Let's change that. Go to project.xml and let's create a memory region here. We will call it external flash. Let's say it's 16 megabytes. The section that is used in the C code to target this memory is .ospi, let's say. You can also specify the bandwidth. Let's say it's a slow one, so it's 8 megabytes per sec. Save it. Go back to globals. Now we have this external flash area here as well, but it has 0 assets because none of these are assigned. So what we can do is go to the images and just specify the memory. Now all the images are assigned to the external flash, and we can see the utilization. Only this much memory is used. Since we have specified the bandwidth, you can see not only the memory sizes, but you can also see the estimated access time. So to load the image of the sidebar, it takes 85 milliseconds with this bandwidth. This is a pretty useful tool to see how much memory you are using during the development without trying to compile it on the device, and you can also see if there are any obvious performance bottlenecks. If you create multiple targets, say target 2, and the main difference is that it has a smaller but faster memory. And if you go back to globals.xml, now you need to also set the target that you wanna use these images with. So now I assign these images to the external flash on the first target. I copy the whole section, and I also use the external flash memory on the second target. I could use different images as well, because since these are now separate blocks, I could have a smaller or a larger image with the same name. So from the UI's point of view, it's quite the same. But on the asset management side, I can do this differentiation. So let's see it a little bit larger. So it's the same for the first target, but if I go to the second target, a few things will change. The memory utilization and the access time. So yeah, right now, like 66% of the memory is used on this target, but the access time is better because I made this one slightly faster. And I left the best part to the end. If you go to our website lvgl.io/pro and go to the pricing menu, you can see our new licensing options. Now we have 3 tiers: a community, a product, and a platform license. The community license is completely free for makers, for personal use, and for open source projects. The product license is a pretty friction-free licensing model. It's like you need to buy a single license for a given product and forget the yearly renewal, forget the counting the seats. We want to give you a solution which covers the entire development lifetime of your product for your entire team. It has a price of $20,000 and it covers you for 5 years for 5 developers by default. However, if you need more time or more developers, just tell it and we will give you an offer accordingly. Before committing, you can evaluate LVGL Pro for free. You can just pick the evaluation license from the licensing list when you start the editor, and then you can try out and you can start building your product. But when you start the actual commercial development, you need to contact our sales team so that you can get an offer for the actual product development. If you are a smaller startup, you can also contact us because we are ready to give you a special price which fits your budgets. If you're a large-scale organization, you need the platform license. It's a great choice if you want to standardize your UI development on top of LVGL and LVGL Pro and want to develop multiple products with these. In this tier, we have enterprise-level solutions like floating licenses or on-premise license servers. Below in this table, you can see all the details. If you have any questions, just contact us here at the Contact Sales button or just write us an email at lvgl@lvgl.io. We would love to hear your feedback about LVGL Pro and the new licensing model in general, so feel free to open a GitHub issue, write us an email, post what you did on LinkedIn. Feel free to use our forum to share your projects. Let's keep in touch, see you soon again, and have a great day.